Welcome back, folks, to my mobile workshop series. In the last episode I had done all the wiring on the ceiling, which freed me up to install the last of the styrofoam insulation. This stuff's pretty wonderful to work with. Styrofoam is lightweight, and if your cuts aren't perfect, you can kind of compress it and squeeze it into the places that you need it. Cutting it is definitely very easy. You don't need any loud tools or electricity to run them. It still requires a little ingenuity and determination sometimes to make these things fit, though. No. Will it fit? Will it fit? Will it fit? I don't think so. Will it break? Might. Each bay wound up getting 2 layers for a total of 2 inches of foam. And the hardest part about this process was probably getting that last bit around the vent fan. But again, this stuff is so easy to work with, it took very little time to custom fit a perfect section of foam to go around it. Now I'd be able to finish up the fan by putting in the little echelon that goes around the perimeter of it. That thing had been sitting on the bench top for a couple of weeks already, so it was very satisfying to see it finally go home. Last night, while it was dark out, I wired up the last of the batteries and the inverter, which means this is now running on solar, which is pretty awesome. I put the fuse block in, so now the fan up top is running on a fused circuit, and so is my charger for my DeWalt batteries. Yeah, very good. And I also extended this wire that goes up to 3 of the panels and tucked it up nice and tight. So now this bay up here is ready for installation. These 2 panels over here also got glued and screwed down. So that means this entire truck, the ceiling at least, is about to get finished. Are you excited? I know I am. This day saw the virtual end of the vent fan project, and now, by cutting up this last sheet of insulation, I wouldn't have to haul it in and out of the workshop every night. It truly is a wonderful thing when these little micro projects get finished. Had to cut it short there at the end. Might have to build a chase there eventually, but that's okay, because we are chilling now. Getting dark in here. Good thing we have lights. I'm sure this is going to look a lot better on camera too, without that that yellow wavering kind of light that was coming through the ceiling. It's definitely going to be nicer when I'm in here and I'm working on stuff. And of course the temperature. That part there was no rib in between like there are here, so it's sagging a little bit. I'm going to glue it up using some great stuff. Spray that on the back of the foam, smush it down, let it get tacky, which only takes a couple of minutes. Then you put it back up and it stays put. This is a great contact adhesive for lightweight things that you're putting on a surface. I had to use this a lot back in the day when I was hanging styrofoam on houses. You know, the decorative stuff that makes everybody go, ooh, ah, that's nice. Yeah, that's how we stuck it to the houses. High tech. Just a note, this is me, July 11th, when I'm starting to edit this program. Needless to say, I'm a little bit upset with the fact that the GoPro is having trouble with the new lights. You get a similar effect sometimes with fluorescent lights or trying to film a TV, you know, where you get a little bit of a flickering. At first I thought it might have had something to do with the frequency that the lights are transmitting. Perhaps I could change the frame rate. But looking at the footage now, more and more, I'm starting to think that it's just the aperture on the camera that's having trouble opening and closing. It's like, it's bright, it's dark, it's bright, it's dark. So I don't really know, and I apologize for the quality of the videos going forward. However, it only seems to happen when the GoPro's moving. If I have a steady shot, everything seems to be okay. So that's something I can keep in mind going forward, so all is not lost, thank goodness. However, if you have some insight as to why exactly this is happening and how I might prevent it, I would love to know about it. But again, fortunately, a lot of times I don't have the lights on because I don't need them all the time, with the doors wide open during the day. And the GoPro's low light capabilities are good enough. There's a lot of things I've done to that trailer. The reason I'm inside in the editing suite right now filming this little addendum is because I don't want to show you guys, I don't want to give away too much. I mean, just yesterday I was working on it, and yeah, there's all kinds of goodies coming. So I just wanted to add that in. Let's get back to the build. I must say, of all my fans out there, it's types like this that help keep me cool on those hot summer days. Here I'm installing a pair of them that I had salvaged from my boat. Not only were these fans going to keep me cool this summer, but a nice coat of white elastomeric paint up on the roof was going to reduce the thermal shock and help keep the whole trailer nice and cool. Until the birds in the forest make a mess of it and it looks brown and dirty, but that's neither here nor there. For now, the roof was looking pretty good. The next thing I wanted to work on that would keep the sun and the rain and the heat and stuff away by maybe being able to keep the doors open when it rained is an awning. Here I'm installing the track that I salvaged from the sides of the truck. A little while ago I painted and you could get a glimpse of the track there installed on the back of the truck. Next was going to be adding canvas. So I pulled the trigger and I bought myself an enormous tarp. You can buy canvas meant for awnings, but it's very expensive and it doesn't come this big. As I laid it out, I remembered going to some baseball games back up in New York with my friends, most of whom didn't root for the same team I did. Who remembers the rain delays at Yankee Stadium when they would play Riders on the Storm? This is nothing like that. I was a Mets fan, by the way, growing up. Yeah, what can I tell you about that look of frustration? If you know, you know. Although I gotta say, 1986 was a lot of fun. My first goal with cutting up this canvas was to get the piece that would be necessary for the workshop. However, I had a lot of plans for this enormous canvas, not just for the workshop, but for the travel trailer that I call home. If you've ever been stuck inside a trailer without the AC running, when it's raining outside, you know that you gotta close the windows and it gets stifling real quick. I had a plan that was going to eliminate that. I'll shut up and allow you to watch uninterrupted as I come up with the measurements for the 3 more pieces of canvas that I felt would be very beneficial in my life on the travel trailer. Just fits in there without fabric around it. I think this is going to work. Let's test it. I got a little fabric sample here. Wrap that around like that. Got the sewing machine out, plugged into an outlet which is plugged into the inverter. Where's the button? Now that should have power. Let's see if we can do this. I don't know. Questionable. I don't know if I have the right foot on there. Obviously I don't want to use dark thread, but that'll tell me what I need to know. And that is whether or not that clothesline is going to act as a good insert for my awnings. Let's see. That's still kind of small. Yep, look at that, come right out. Huh. Seems the clothesline's good for hanging clothes, not as an insert. Maybe I've got something better in here. Let's have a little bit more light. What else have I got in my bag of tricks? Oh, it's dark down here. There's some more in there. It's a little thicker. Yep, a whole bunch of it too. Maybe we'll try this. Certainly thicker. Next up on The Price is Right. I wish I knew what kind of rope this was, because if it works, it's going to be what I use. Nope. Third time's a charm. Upon returning to my bag of tricks, I find a couple different types of anchor rope. Sorry, line. Anchor line It's thicker, but kind of squishes and lays down. I don't think that's going to work either. You never know. That's why we test these things. Well, it seems that polypropylene makes a very good anchor line that floats. Let's see, can it fit? It's a lot tighter. No. I'm not a happy guy. But it certainly doesn't suffice as a canvas insert. Next up, I tried this red paracord, which I've used as anchor line many times in the past. It didn't seem to collapse as much when you pressed on it, so I kind of felt like it might work, but my confidence really was starting to wane at this point. And I really didn't want to break down and go to Sailrite and buy the stupid canvas insert, when I knew in my heart that I was able to make it if I just found the right stuff. That's pretty good. See it squishing? Yep. That's if I pry it from the side. If I pull the whole thing, I don't think there's a way that can come out. If I turn it a second time, like that. I guess the search continues. Okay, well, I have some leftovers from the solar array that I just put on the ceiling. I wonder. It's definitely not going to squish. Might patina a little bit. Let's see how it works. Will it fit? Oh yeah. Oh. There ain't no way that's coming out. Nope. And it slides in there nice. I think I got myself a wiener. Okay. Let's feed that in there. You get out of there. Go on. As I started cutting canvas for what would be the very first awning, I started having goofy thoughts like, hey, maybe that copper insert could double as a lightning rod or a tractor or something. Yeah, but then I would have to ground it, and I think I was just starting to get a bit goofy. More than normal. As I mentioned earlier, there's a particular sewing foot that I didn't have in this particular application. Things would have gone a lot faster if I had that attachment for this sewing machine. Unfortunately, I feel like a majority of people out there don't appreciate how much physical and mental effort it takes to sew. I'm sure there are some sailboaters out there that respect the fact that their canvas is sewn in such a particular way, or a handful of guys perhaps that actually understand sewing and how important it is. Or maybe you went to a doctor and he sewed you up so that you couldn't see the stitches. Everybody at some point appreciates sewing, but every time I make videos like this, I fear that my audience is out there with their eyes rolling over white. But some of the projects I've come up with using machines like this are the most awesome. Well, the wire insert seems to be doing its job. I don't really care for the grommets. I may cut that off and redo this part. It won't matter that there's a seam because it'll kind of match the awning that came with the trailer. I thought perhaps that I could use the grommets as tie downs against wind, but I could probably just latch on to the PVC as a tie down later on. This design would be super easy to take down on a windy day anyways. So I take it back to the shop to do some final adjustments and to work on the PVC armature that would hold it up. Most of the PVC gets glued together, except for the end parts, which I sand down so that they can be put in and taken out of little caps that I had previously attached to the side of the trailer. To do that, I just used a very small screw with a little bit of sealant. However, it quickly became apparent that the small screw wasn't holding it stout enough, and I worried that if it were to bend back and forth over time, I could cause leaks. So I needed a stronger attachment point. A long bolt going all the way through the wall would be a lot stronger than that little screw. Now in my time, I've done some pretty cool stuff. When the entire time I was doing it, I asked myself, what the heck am I doing? This felt like one of them. And some months have gone by since I did this, and I'm glad I had the courage to dig holes in the side of my trailer. Next thing I'm gonna do, slide that in and out, nice. Drill a hole for a cotter pin to hold this in place. My friend who was with me when I bought this trailer said that it was junk. And I protested, no, look at how pretty it is. This could be a home for me, yada, yada, yada. And he was like, dude, they're all junk. They're all made out of balsa wood and very light stuff so that, you know, they can go down the road easy. But nonetheless, they're all junk. And he strongly suggested that I did not pay the asking price, which, thanks to him, I didn't. But since then, I have come to realize that he's right. You know, these things are meant to be weekend toys for, you know, people who have money to throw away, not to really live in, day out. Obviously people do that, you can get away with it, but you know, you damn well better know how to work on these things, because everywhere there's a protrusion, like these lights. This one needs to be recaulked. It's starting to shrink, and you can get water intrusion in places like that, around the windows. These lights back here, just you know, I tried to clean this material and it kind of stained it. There were leftovers from the previous owner like that. You know, I'm not afraid to do certain things like this, which I believe are going to be vast improvements, because this is going to keep a majority of the rain off of this window. And there's already a soft spot in the floor. There was when I bought it. And it probably is because water was drenching that window. You know, it could have been coming up from underneath as well while it was driving, you know, whatever. This is just, you know, my philosophy that things are not meant to last. But yeah, just figured I could throw that in there. You know, once upon a time, I was applying for a job. The guys that were in charge of the company that I wanted to work for, I was very impressed with. These were big shots. Yet, I wasn't afraid. I went in there and I just told them what I knew and what I didn't, and I wasn't afraid of anything. Later on, after being hired and having some success with that company, the owners told me that the thing that impressed them the most was that I wasn't afraid to say, I don't know. And I would go ahead and do it anyways. They loved that I hadn't been indoctrinated into some bullshit, that things could or could not be done. And you know what? I've taken that philosophy with me ever since. Perhaps it was part of me before that. And more times than not, the outcome of that crazy philosophy has been beneficial, instead of being problematic. Yeah. I'm not going to bend those up until I mean for this to stay here for a minute. No reason to potentially waste a cotter pin and stress the fitting that I just put on there. It's got a little bit of wobble to it, which should go away when I put the awning on it. Okay. Not too shabby. For PVC, I think it's okay. I don't know if you can hear my drone wind chime, but there is a little bit of a breeze today. Every once in a while it gusts through and my eyes dart over here and this thing doesn't even move. I have the trees and the canopy to thank for that, but it is a concern of mine. If it was really going to blow, all I got to do is pull these pins out, pop out the legs, and slide out the thing and put it away. I like the simplicity of it. Doesn't look too lowbrow. I certainly think when it's raining and I have the ability to keep this window open, that's going to be awesome. That's when it's like, oh yeah, that is definitely worth it. So we've got one more to build here and the other one around the corner, and that's going to protect my slide out. But I think I've had my fill of sewing for one day. I'm going to try to turn my attention back to the workshop, and that, if you remember, has a track on it as well, and I'm going to try to bring something off of there so I can keep the doors open when I'm in the workshop and it's raining also. That one I think I'm going to leave grommets on, and I'm going to suspend it from trees, because then I can open and close the doors and kind of leave it there. Who knows? I don't. I really don't. I haven't come up with the idea yet. Stick around and we'll figure it out together. I got a lot of cleaning up to do. What happened to keeping an empty workbench?